All right, it says we're live. I believe we are live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Bandwagon Wednesday. The ones you're on, the ones you're off. Ask Coach Hyatt, Texas Tech football. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to let you rest us today, BN. All of that today coming to you from the Arctic Air Studios. If your area is not Arctic today, that's a problem. If it's not Arctic tomorrow, well, that's probably a problem. If it's too Arctic, maybe this weekend when it hits, say 39 degrees, that's going to be a problem. You need to call the Bear, callthebear.com. We're also brought to you by Gators Bayou 98th and Slide. Great Sunday brunch. If you're looking for something different, a little Cajun brunch goes a long way to make the weekend even that much better. French toast, highly recommended. Check it out. You'll be glad you did. And by Kyle Rogers, Remax Realtor. He's our realtor in Raiderland. He's got one, is it in South Fork that they just had a big price reduction on? Check it out, man. Pretty cool if you're looking for something in that neck of the woods. All right, get us on the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. If you're watching on Twitter or YouTube Live, that's how you communicate with us. Indeed, Chris, Val, Damon, the talking box is on. Craig is watching. We're watching you. You guys know what to do. Let us know the audio is good, the video is good. Give us thumbs up, hearts, whatever, and then share this. Invite some people in. Tell them to have some fun on a Wednesday night here in West Texas. In 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans. All you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com, where you start your day. Question of the day, Raiderland hot links, and anything else that may be on our mind. You want to find that every day. Also, wait, there's something new? There is. 60 seconds of Raiderland, the commentary. We've done commentaries in the past for different radio stations. We're bringing it back beginning tomorrow. Morning commentary. It lasts about a minute, so, doesn't take too long. Gives you another reason to get up. So look for that in the morning, 60 seconds of Raiderland, and feel free to comment on it. There will be days you agree with me. There will be days you vehemently disagree with me. That's okay. Hopefully we'll make you think, and that if it's coming from me, it's going to be authentic for sure. All right, so what do we got tonight? Ask Coach Hyatt for those who are new. I play the role of a generic coach. You ask me generic questions. I'm not Joey McGuire. I'm not Grant McCaslin. I'm not Krista Gerlich. I'm not Tim Tadlock. It's not questions you want to ask a tech coach. You ask me generic coach questions. I will answer in a generic coach way, and then I may even answer it the way a coach would really want to answer, but they're afraid to. They can't answer it that way. That's what Ask Coach Hyatt is. Then Bandwagons, created by the audience, created by the listeners. It is pretty much anything you're supporting, whatever you're on, whatever you're off, sports or otherwise. Texas Rangers, Bandwagon, 100%. And I consider myself a Bandwagon fan, even though I've been a fan of the Rangers since the 1970s, and consider that my primary team all growing up and all my life. But, I just kind of put them over to the side a little bit as football season started and said, that was good, that was fun, that was nice. And then as they limped to the finish line in September, I was like, hell of a run, guys. I don't know how you kept it together through the injuries, youth otherwise, and just, pretty impressive. And dang it, if all of a sudden they're not in the ALCS now, bring on the cheating Astros. Let's make it an all-Texas ALCS and see what happens from here. Goodness gracious, when they are on offensively and you get some starting pitching, that bullpen, that middle doesn't seem to matter near as much. So, yeah, we're on the bandwagon. I have no problem admitting that. Texas Tech football tonight. What's the record from here? What does Tech do with the final 6 games? 3-3 right now. 3-3 right now. What do they do? I predicted preseason. I said I will predict a 9-3 season for the Red Raiders. I felt like looking at the schedule, looking at everything. I thought, this team could get 9 wins. Bad things happen, maybe 8 wins. Now is 7 wins best outcome? What do they do from here? They can beat every team on the schedule the rest of the way. They can lose to every team on the schedule the rest of the way. And that begins this weekend as a 1.5-point favorite against Kansas State. What happens from here? First Ask Coach Hyatt question of the night. You guys get in, by the way, on the text line. If you're watching on Twitter X and or YouTube Live, 806-772-0197. United Supermarkets, where your tailgating experience will begin. Again, time is running out. Don't be Saturday stock-up guy. You make hasty decisions. You don't do well. You show up ill-prepared. Thursday is your day to stock up for the tailgate. Coach Hyatt, how do you know how to call the victory formation? That's a great question, Damon. Appreciate you asking that. Darn right we do. That's the first thing we work on in practice. The last thing we work on in practice, we even do it in the middle of the night. You get in the victory formation. You don't go pipe and all the right moves and lose the game. You don't call that play. That's fireable offense, by the way. What happened there with Mario Cristobal in Miami? I would fire the coach mid-season, right then. Done. You're done. You're done. There were some that would tell you that Kirby Hocutt was that close to wanting to do that to Matt Wells after a couple of on-field decisions that weren't nearly as egregious, in my opinion, as what we saw Miami lose to Georgia Tech, a horrific team. You got to fire a coach who does that. Now, true story. Here you go. So I'm coaching my son's middle school team. The only time I've ever coached him in anything, and wouldn't have done it if we didn't have to do it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had 2 practices before our first game. These kids were great. I had 1 practice with pads before our first game. So my goal was to have a kickoff unit and know who was on it, a return unit, and enough plays that we could line up. So it's late in the game. We've got the ball. We're up 12-0, and I'm still calling run plays, and I'm trying to, again, middle schoolers. You're trying to milk the clock, and all this stuff. Our game awareness is not all that good. And the side judge, he looks at me, and goes, "Hey, coach, you can kneel it out from here." And I looked at him. I said, we hadn't had time to put that play on yet. They don't know that, and I don't know what they would do. I said, we don't have a victory formation yet. We got 3 plays. I gotta call the running play we got. He laughed, so we went over that next week, that if we are in that situation again, on the snap, the quarterback can back up a few steps, wait, and then kneel down. So it was when I thought about that the other night. That, Mario Cristobal, he was like me. He'd only had 1 practice with pads, and he hadn't had time to put in the victory formation. That's obviously what was going on in Miami. Josh Young, World Series MVP, getting close to reality. Getting closer. I mean, if they go to the World Series, right, it's going to happen. In the year of the Red Raider, in the year of Mahomes, in the year of Aberg, in the year of McClung, and however many other Red Raiders have done stuff. It's going to happen. Bandwagon Wednesday. Oh, and we'll get to the Kansas non-sanctions by the NCAA's IAWF, whatever, joke, absolute joke, and explain the whole Wyatt Earp reference there, the Wyatt Earp quote from Tombstone. I'm on the Rangers postseason bandwagon. Before the playoffs, I really thought they'd lose to Tampa, the Orioles. They swept them both, yeah. I mean, there was no reason going into the postseason to think that they would do what they did, and they just dialed the clock back and did what they did. The Big 12 has been crazy this year. I agree. So what happens from here for the Red Raiders? You guys tell us tonight. That's what we're talking about with Texas Tech football. You got 6 more games to go get. What do you get? What happens? K-State at BYU. TCU Thursday night. Hate that game being on Thursday. Thursday night games are an abomination if it involves your team. At BYU, 4 o'clock Mormon time, they'll be all liquored up on Diet Pepsi. They'll be hard to handle. It could get ugly. And then you got UCF, you got at Kansas, and you got Texas on the road. What do you do? What happens from here? If I told you right now you're out of this thing with 7 wins, would you take it? Would you take Chris is going 4-2, losses UT and BYU on the road. Shannon's watching. Welcome to the show, Shannon. Glad you're here. You guys who are watching on Twitter, you're watching on YouTube, use the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. Again, pro tip, hit United Supermarkets, Market Street, On the weekends, look for the ad specials, the butcher section. Meat deals. We all love meat deals. The rookie for Arizona that played for the Sod Poodles could get Rookie of the Year. He could. Dang it. He could, though. Sod Poodles, you're champs out of the Texas League. Saw that they're letting like Lance Leinart run around with the trophy and stuff. I think he's taking it with him when he goes on his Meals on Wheels route. That's solid. That's cool right there. Bandwagons you're on can be sports or otherwise. Bandwagons you're off. We often find ourselves clambering on and off bandwagons. Perhaps you have found yourself off a bandwagon. Perhaps you found yourself on a bandwagon this week. We want to hear about it. Again, it could be anything. You could be on the Taj Brooks, first team All Big 12 running back bandwagon. I like the sound of that. All Big 12 running back. Sounds good. You can win some games with an All Big 12 running back. For the most part, when Tech has had like All Big 12 and All American running backs, they've had pretty decent years. And he says Tech will beat Texas, knock them out of the playoffs. Playoffs? They're not in the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs right now. They're outside looking in, baby. Oklahoma is your Big 12 team right now that's got a shot at the playoffs. Texas, you're not knocking them out. The only way they make the playoffs is to absolutely 100% run the table. Shannon, I think we have a new identity. Are you making an announcement today? Are you identifying as something today? It's okay. Also ask Coach Hyatt, fire away on that. Yeah, I'll get to the Kansas deal in a few minutes. Did you guys see the Twitter unveiling, the social media unveiling, I guess, of the Tech basketball uniforms for this year? Look good. Got a black one, you got a white one, you got a red one. I like the it's not really it's a traditional look. I hesitate to say a throwback look. It is a very traditional Texas Tech basketball uniform look. A very good look, in my opinion, that they've got solid, good God-fearing stripage on it. Texas Tech, hey, you can read it. It's big enough you can read it. I hate the Under Armour numeral font. That is not a font that Texas Tech has ever used from a numerical standpoint. It is a Under Armour deal. One reason why I wish Tech would go away from Under Armour. It's an Under Armour deal. It's not a Tech deal. Same thing with the end zones at Jones Stadium. That's not a Texas Tech look. That is an Under Armour creation. Get away from that. But other than that, it's pretty good. We don't play OU. ESPN dictates this. So ESPN dictates everything, Andy. But you're not knocking Texas out if you beat them. They're already out right now. Just as long as they don't have gray uniforms. Get rid of that. Hate it. Hideous. Awful. They didn't show any gray uniforms, so hopefully that is the case. ESPN does not dictate us not playing OU. No, that wasn't ESPN. That is tasty. Where are we with the Adidas contract? I don't know. You hear things, you get told things. It could be imminent, could be October, could be November. I think it's fairly soon. It'll be done, I bet, before Christmas. Chris says, I do like the unis. I hope they wear the Dickie era throwbacks they've been wearing the last few years. Now, that's a good little throwback uniform. If you want to go to the 95-96 last year, the Southwest Conference 31 win team did 30 game winner team. I like that. They were funky, very, very time warpish, very remember the 90s on VH1, MTV type deal. And I really didn't care for them at the time because you had been coming out of an era, again, of some really good uniforms during that time frame. Even though some of Gerald Meyer's last teams weren't pretty good, at least they did look good. They did dress good. And pretty much an unchanged uniform for a while. But yeah, that was when uniforms in basketball were beginning to get a little wild. You had the Fab Five at Michigan, so the longer shorts were coming in, all that sort of thing. But yeah, that's a good throwback if you want to go to one. I like the there's the 40s and early 50s throwback. It just simply says Tech across it. just the generic Tech. Yeah. But T was underrated. He was a number 1 draft pick. How was he underrated? It's impossible to underrate him. He was a number 1 draft pick. He was completely rated. Came out early. Everybody knew he was good. What was fascinating about that is when James Dickey started recruiting him, he was about 6'6" or 6'7", and he just kept growing there in high school, in late high school, and all of a sudden he shows up and he's 6'10", 6'11". Chris, it's funny to me, shorter shorts are back in vogue now. Everything comes back around. Hopefully not the John Stockton. But yeah, I've got pictures of me in basketball shorts. So you're just like, oh my God. Circumcised. Wow, that's awesome. Great. We appreciate that. Doesn't matter about the new unis. New coach will be greatness. Uniforms always matter, Andy. If you don't believe that, you're wrong. And I'm off your bandwagon. Uniforms always matter. Matter greatly. Otherwise, you wouldn't say uniforms don't matter. So what do we got? Tech football from here. 3-3 from here. 6 wins. You got 4 wins in this thing. You got 5 wins. What do you got? What's Texas Tech do? Logic tells me that it would be an outlier for this team to go 5-1 the rest of the way. That 3-3, 4-2 is probably more likely. Vanilla Thunder, Lance Hughes. 7 wins on the season. That's what Andy says. So you got to go 4-2 to get there from here, which doesn't leave much wiggle room. That means you're going to get some quality road wins in there if you're going to do that, basically. Well, I say quality road wins. You're going to get, you would be talking about your 2 losses, you know what, Texas and BYU. So you're going to get some okay wins in there. Kansas doesn't scare me on the road. BYU more so just because it's BYU. You don't know. BYU day game though there, so that'll be good. Lonnie says my daughter played soccer at an Adidas sponsored school. All their sports uniforms were great. That's cool. And congrats to your daughter. I'm playing high level soccer. Tech football from here, 5-1 with a loss at BYU. So they beat Texas and Austin as a going away gift to the Longhorns, which could potentially knock them out of the Big 12 championship game at that point, depending on what had transpired. Oh, that'd be sweet, wouldn't it? That would be nice. I think what we're looking at here most likely is probably 3-3, 4-2. 4-2, I think, at its best. Again, unless something dramatically changes. Sometimes things dramatically change. You have your team, which you believe to be getting better. And I think that's a fair assessment that they're doing things better. You also look around, you go, okay, TCU, not as good. UCF, not a very good team. They lost to Baylor. What's the toughest one from here? Texas. You think you can beat Texas? You're catching Kansas State, I think, at a great time. Doesn't guarantee a victory, but you're catching them at a good time, and you're catching them in Lubbock. You got 2 good things going on for you. And maybe there's just a little bit of doubt there in Manhattan right now to go along with a lot of injuries. So that's good. We like that. Tech gets better as the season goes off 5-1. That'd be great. I mean, a 5-1 finish would put you in a very nice bowl game, all things considered. You raise the bar after a rough start, which would be impressive. And that means that you've done it in Big 12 play. That you obviously, you dropped non-conference games, 2 non-conference games that you crafted. Words, hard, find words. You crafted that record in Big 12 play, and that matters. I think that matters. You can pick up your notes from somebody you're sitting next to, Mr. Dalby. I'll expect you to watch the first 20 minutes or so on the replay. You guys can get in on the United Supermarkets text line. It's easy to do. 806-772-0197. That's for our friends who watch on YouTube and on Twitter. Otherwise, it just goes into the ether. I don't see it until after it's over, and I don't want to do that to you. You know, so what this staff does, they make players better, make players better, make players play better, make better players play better. They better make better players play better if you want to get better. We see again today. Oh, and don't forget, you can still do Ask Coach Hyatt. Ask me generic questions of a coach. I'll answer in a generic manner. I'm not playing the role of any specific coach, certainly not tech coaches. If you got a question you want to ask Joey McGuire, ask David Collier, and he'll ask Joey McGuire that question. UT and BYU, the best two teams left. Still not sold on Kansas. I'm not sold on Kansas. I'll never be sold on Kansas. Kansas could be 11-0 and Tech playing them in the final game of the season, and I would be going, yeah, they're still Kansas. Speaking of which, Kansas gets a slap on the wrist, 3 years probation, no postseason ban. Oh, you got to take down that Final Four banner. Or what? You got to vacate. Yeah, whatever. I think all players should make them take salt pills too. It worked for my generation. So this all goes back to the Adidas case. The FBI, we have your playbook. Oh, yeah, really, you do. Okay. The only school that got hammered in all of this was Oklahoma State, who did respond today with a release that basically said, you know, we've said we really want the NCAA to target the wrongdoers and not the student athletes and punish, you know, basically the people who did it and not student athletes, even though, and we appreciate their decision today, even though it comes too late to help us. Good job, Oklahoma State. Here's what you do, though. You do exactly what Bill Self and Kansas did. You take the Wyatt Earp approach. I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today, Behan. That no matter what you've done, if the NCAA comes calling, that any school, Texas Tech, whoever, don't cooperate. Just look them in the eye and say, no. We're going to send our investigators to campus. No, I don't think you are. We're going to do, no, I don't think you are going to do that today. You're going to have to do this. No, I don't think we are. I don't think we're going to take a bowl ban. I don't think we're going to take that. I don't think we're going to do it. Sue us. Do whatever you want to, but we're not going to do it. Don't cooperate. The schools that cooperate are the only ones that get hammered because they hand over to the investigative force a mechanism to do it. If you don't do it, they can't do anything. There are no rules now. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm all for it. Never self-impose penalties, ever. Never do that. Nope. That, you know, if something comes up and Texas Tech gets a letter of inquiry from the NCAA, throw it in the trash. Don't cooperate. And don't let them arrest you. And when they try to punish you, just say, I don't think so. The only place they can get you is the NCAA tournament by not inviting you. I got a little secret for you. That's about to go away too. This football league we've talked about, they're going to stage their own tournament. And it ain't going to be on TBS and CBS. It's going to be on Fox and it's going to be on ESPN. And the NCAA will be televising Wichita State versus Valpo. And you'll see Ohio State and Kansas and Kentucky and Florida playing in the other tournament. And the ratings will be higher. So the biggest juggernaut that the NCAA could try to impose on you, they can't dictate anything through the conferences. The conferences aren't going to do it anymore. The conferences aren't going to ban anybody from going to a bowl, and as long as they exist. And again, soon, that won't matter. Nobody's going to be taken off TV ever, ever, ever again. So that's out the window. And the hammer of the NCAA saying you can't go to the NCAA basketball tournament is going to be dead within 5 years too. Never cooperate. Ever. Hell, this thing went on for what, 6 years? 6 years from now, there will be no NCAA. So what are we saying today? As Wyatt Earp said, I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today, Behan. What does that mean? Do whatever the hell you want. Am I advising Texas Tech right now to circumvent every rule and cheat like dogs? You did not hear me say that. We would never say that. Ever. No, that would be wrong. But you also never, ever, ever, ever let them arrest you again. It's fair fight. It was legal. You know us, Law and Order every time. Never, ever, ever. Oh, now we quote the treasurer of Sierra Madre. Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Just don't use athletic department letterhead like SMU. Yeah, at least, use your NIL collective letterhead or something. Get creative. Or the First Methodist Church. Whatever it takes to make that happen. 24 hours a day, all up and down Allen Street. That's the real money maker right there. Where's he going? What? Texas Tech record from here. We got 5 more minutes left with you. Bandwagons, you're on. Bandwagons, you're off. We've got Ask Coach Hyatt. You can hit us with a couple of questions. And then we like the new Texas Tech basketball uniform. So fire away comments, questions. Otherwise, it's up and down Allen Street from here. Wonder what. Yeah. Daniel Farrow sounds pretty good tonight. I'm doing pretty good allergy-wise today. I'm going to jinx it, I know, but doing pretty good allergy-wise. Also want to remind you guys, check out our new commentary, 60 Seconds of Raiderland, every morning. Be waiting for you. Well, there you do. Let's do an hour show tonight. I'm hungry. You get 30 minutes and you'll like it. Really, it's an hour show because if you do 30 minutes of radio, when you add in all the breaks and everything, the top of an hour and everything, you're pretty much doing 30 minutes straight. So if I do 30 minutes straight, that's really the equivalent of an hour of a radio show. Little known fact. The more you know. I reserve the hour-long shows for Raiderland Rewind, brought to you by Thacker Jewelry. Lubbock Originals. Your noggin ever just itch? Not like you got like scalp weirdness or dandruff or something going on. You're just like, it's weird. Sometimes it does happen. It could be. No, there's one. Great scene. Breakfast Club. Made the little drawing look all snowy and cool. All right, so we're all on board. We like the basketball uniforms. We're all good with that. No consensus whatsoever on what happens from Texas Tech from here football-wise. I can get behind that. It's game by game. We'll see. I mean, there's probably a reason you're a 1.5-point favorite, although I think it should be 2.5, maybe 3. And I keep thinking this thing's going to move a little bit as the week goes on, as limits begin to go up. But as of right now, I am still seeing only one rogue 2 out there. They must have some liability that they're trying to offset on that. They must have got hit a little bit hard. There is that Circa? Yeah, I think so. Interesting that they're doing that. Like the basketball coach. You see, this is where you guys got to be really, really descriptive in your responses and your stuff, because all I see is, let's do an hour show tonight, head lice like the basketball coach. Do we do away with the tire on the, did we do it? We should. We need to get rid of that. We got too much crap going on, I still don't like that, just because to me it's hokey that if I got to remind guys during the course of the game that we're all in, I have failed you miserably as a coach during the week. We don't need that. You look at me. Don't look at the dude with the tire. Oh, there's a guy with a tire. I'm going to block harder this play. Don't give me that crap. Take a salt pill. Somebody's tackling. Everybody grabbing. Grab. Well, until the time change. I'm just looking at the shadows outside the Arctic Air Studios tonight. Not much longer, right? It's got to be getting pretty close. All right, this is the time where we must tell the people by new identity earlier meant the running game. Oh, okay. You weren't coming out with a new identity, Tech new identity running game. How about this? The identity is complementary football. Complementary football. You run and you pass. You play action pass. You run some, you pass some. Use the tight end, use the wide receiver. You play complementary football, offense to defense, so you don't put your defense in bad situations. Why is Alex Grinch such a horrible coordinator? Why does Lincoln Riley have him? Because he's the only guy who'll put up with that crap these days. All the other good defensive coordinators don't want to work with that kind of offense. And it will cost them, as it always does. I like that identity idea, though. Okay, so we got to say goodbye to the people on Twitter and on YouTube. It asked me, do we want to end the stream? Yes, we do. We want to. Yeah. Damn right they weren't.